What's up everyone, John from ARTV. Time for another edition of Throwback Week. Today I have got a review of Merriweather Post Pavillion by experimental pop group Animal Collective. Now this video was made possible by a Patreon supporter. I'm sorry it took me so long to get this video out, but we're kind of going to talk about why this album is one that I have to really be in the mood for, at least to talk about in video format. Now Animal Collective formed in the early 2000s. They've been making critically acclaimed albums ever since then, and they most recently came out with Painting With in early 2016, an album that I was kind of torn on. I didn't enjoy it all that much. It had some good tracks on it, but I ended up landing on a 3 out of 5 for my rating for that project. But notably, it is the same lineup. This band kind of has a fluctuating lineup. Notably absent was Deacon. The member that was not on Merriweather Post Pavillion was also not on Painting With, so we got the same lineup. So obviously I was kind of intrigued when Painting With came out, but it definitely did not live up to Merriweather for me. Now this album, like I said, is something that really has to settle in with you, and it has to settle in with me. Even getting back into the album again, it's very noisy, it's very repetitive, but it uses that to its advantage more often than not. There's a lot of crazy off-the-wall synthesizers, some noises that really grab your attention, like on Daily Routine. It has these big synthesizers that just kind of fill in the gaps there. And the vocals on this record are often used not as filler, I won't say, but almost as a distraction, partially from what's going on musically. There's so many things that are just building. There's crescendos, there's different effects that are used. They're all very talented producers, and I think Panda Bear is most notable here in terms of his style and his production choices. I can really hear his added effect on the project. Now overall, this is their most commercially successful album so far, and one of their most critically acclaimed. It kind of became a staple for the band, eventually performing at Merriweather Post Pavillion in 2011, something that I thought was very, very cool. This is a very, very moody album, and I feel like it often evokes the feeling of like spring and summer, but some of the tracks give off kind of a wintry and transitioning into fall vibe, and I like that I picked that up. I mean, right off the bat, the first 2 tracks that I really enjoy off of this project, In the Flowers and My Girls, 2 that have kind of a kindred spirit about them, an airy feel, something that I can definitely see being played in summertime. Obviously, Summertime Clothes is another one that, is going to fall into the same category, but those 2 right off the bat really kind of opened my eyes to Animal Collective. These were some of the first songs that I was exposed to from this band, along with Brother Sport. Now, I only heard that song one time, maybe in like 2012, 2013, and I didn't think twice about it, but listening to it years later, I can easily say that this is my favorite song from the band. There are so many different elements that work about that one. It's very catchy in a weird way. Now, we've seen catchy from this band. If you've heard Florida, you know that was one of my favorite songs of 2015 if you watch the channel. Just a really well done track. It's a jam, an all-out jam. And on Brother Sport, honestly, in a different way with a different vibe, it's a very, very spirited tune that I can really get caught up and lost in. Now, there's some weird moments, and there's plenty that I just kind of find a bit dreary. It does drag on. It's about 55 minutes long in terms of its runtime here, but overall I do find myself gravitating towards this project more whenever I'm getting ready for bed or else going for a night drive. I've got a long trip up ahead of me. It's kind of an atmospheric album, a mood album that you really have to be ready for, kind of like I was mentioning before. It's something that if you're not in the right mood going into it, you're not going to get the right thing out of it. Moments like the open and airy Bluish, and then the very, very monotonous Also Frighten, that really just kind of uses that repetition to beat it into the ground. It runs for 5 minutes, and by the end of it, I'm really just kind of smacking myself in the head to stay awake, because I'm like, are we really on the same song here? And I understand that some see this as absolute music genius. Some people list this as one of the best albums of all time, but me personally, honestly, I don't feel that way. I enjoy a lot of the songs here, but a lot of it just isn't my cup of tea, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's different strokes for different folks, and a lot of the time I find myself disagreeing with music critics and even fellow music fans, because everybody hears everything differently. But that being said, this is still a very, very solid album. It's not something that I necessarily look to for its lyrical content. It's more something that I come to for its production, and it's kind of weird, zany pacing a lot of the time. I mean, just look at kind of the springy feel that I get from the instrumental on Lion in a Coma. It's weird, it is out there, and and it is not for everyone. But all in all, I do enjoy this project. I would have to say that my absolute favorites on this are probably My Girls, In the Flowers, Daily Routine. Just one right there that I can get into just because those weird synths and how it transforms back and forth. It's got a great vibe, and mixing it kind of with some weird lyricism, it actually works quite well for me. And of course, Brother Sport, probably, like I said, my favorite Animal Collective track to date. So overall, I don't think this has a super high replay factor. I would recommend checking it out though if you're into some more experimental stuff. Me personally, I'm gonna give it a 3.5 out of 5. Find out more about how you can get an album reviewed on my Patreon, top link in the description down below. Smash the like button while you're here and subscribe to the channel because friends don't let friends go unsubscribed. You can see my last Patreon supported review right here or another recent throwback review right here. Other than that, you can find me on social media linked in the description, and I'll see you very soon on ARTV.